This is a Grove ATS540 crane. It's made by Norscot and it's in 1/50th scale. Now this is an interesting crane because coming from Norscot, I believe it's the only crane that Norscot ever made, and because of that it has an interesting mixture of features. On one hand, it's got a lot of Norscot type things, and on the other hand they tried to include some of the features that NZG and Conrad were using on their cranes at the time. So you have this, like I said, it's an interesting mixture of between what Norscot did and what they wanted to do. And some things work and some things just don't. As far as like the crane itself though, just sitting on the shelf as it is, it really doesn't look bad. There are three versions that Norscot made. There's the red one, there's the classic, the old Grove colors, and then there's the modern Grove colors. I think the classic Grove colors are the hardest to find, followed by the red ones, and the modern Grove is the ones that they made the most of. And they're not hard to find, just to find the 40-ton Grove. They come up for sale on eBay every now and then, but the prices that they go for fluctuate by a pretty good deal. You know, you might find one for $100 today, and you might find one for $300 tomorrow. To me, it's always been kind of random. They're definitely an easier buy today than they were a couple years ago. They're just not worth what they used to be, which isn't a bad thing. But like I said, there's a lot of variation in the pricing. Now, like I said, just sitting on the shelf, it's really not a bad looking crane. The wheels are nice. The diamond deck plate looks pretty good. You can see someone has decaled this for MAXIM Crane Works, and they did a really good job. These are very high quality decals, and if you didn't know it, you'd think that this was a factory produced MAXIM crane, and that's it says a lot about just whoever did it. They did a very good job. It's got a good weight to it. It's really not terrible. Like I said, not a lot of detail, but not terrible either. It's got one of those goofy cranks for the winch, which is a little disappointing. Underneath, there's not a whole lot going on. You do have all-wheel steering with these super single tires, which is interesting. Now the outrigger jacks, they're the old screw type, which at the time, that is what NZG and Conrad were doing, so Norscot didn't do anything different. And you can kind of see it there. Now the screws themselves are black, which does stand out a little bit. It does look kind of odd that you have black outrigger cylinders, but it's a minor thing. As far as the boom itself, you only have the ball here, so you can only run one part line. But what's interesting is you have these I don't know if that's brass or copper or whatever. You have metal shivs for all your pulleys there, which is interesting because Conrad and NZG did not do this at the time. So it's kind of neat to see that on a Norscot model. Something else that's interesting about this crane is if you look underneath, it is all-wheel steering. And I don't know if it was every one of these 540s was a 6-wheel drive, but I know it was an option. And the idea was that it was kind of like a cross between a highway crane and an all-terrain. Like I said, you notice it's got the super singles on it all the way around, and that is why, because the idea is that it's 6-wheel drive. Something else that's interesting too is I believe that I think the pin's still in here. Anyway, I believe the crane had 2 boom options. I think one is the short boom, which is what's actually on the crane. See, this is basically this is a 90-foot boom. You only have 2 sections that come out. It was an option, I believe, that you could get a 3rd section that would run out to 115 feet. Now, this being a 40-ton crane, I guess it has a much better chart with 90 feet of boom, but 115 feet's an awful lot better. So anyway, it's interesting. Kind of makes you wonder why Grove, and beyond that Norscot, really wanted to have just the 2 sections instead of 3. I think 3 would have been an awful lot better. Because, I mean, who doesn't want a taller crane, right? You only have the ball here, and there's nowhere to mount it to, which is a little bit disappointing. It just kind of hangs, and really it only hangs if you have the winch in just the right spot. It'll stay. There. That's the only way you can get it to hang. Now the jib itself it's not terrible. You only have your single shib out here. You don't have one here, and it's also a fixed pin, so you can't swing half jib. You have to swing full jib. And also, stick that out right there. Also, you do have an offset that you can pin it in, which I'd imagine that's probably like a, I don't know, 40-degree offset maybe. Maybe it's a 45, I really don't know. But it's basically, it's either 0 or 2 degrees, whatever it is. So you have straight jib and offset, one offset position, which is not bad, not terrible, not good. But again, this is the only, well, maybe it's not the only 40-ton highway crane that's out there, but it's the most recent by far. Alright, so we got our crane set up here. I guess we can run the boom out and see what it looks like. The winch is honestly pretty terrible. There's a couple spots where it'll hold itself. It'll hold the ball in the air, but for the most part, you're going to have to jam something down in there to hold it. Yeah, you can see just nothing there. Oh my! So there's not a whole lot to hold the jib in place when you got it boomed up all the way. It's just got a little 2 little racks there. There we go. So that's the 90-foot boom. It's not very good. I think it would have been a lot better if Norscot or Grove, depending whose decision it was, would have put the 115-foot boom in there with the extra section. I think that would have displayed a lot better, because it doesn't have a whole lot of size to it. I mean, yeah, it's just a 40-ton, but still, not a whole lot to it. As far as the jib goes, see if we can get this thing. And you swing around, it just sort of clips in there, and you only have 1 pin here. See if we can get this thing on here. That's the same way. You got a pin right there, and it just sort of clips onto the boom like that. Now you just kind of run that right over top. And there you go. And that is all the string that you have. So if you put the jib on it, you run the boom all the way out, stick it all the way up in the air, you can't even make it to the bottom of the jib. So it would definitely be worth restringing the drum with some more string. I like to use the Muskie Master line. I think it looks really good. It's like a braided, it's a braided fishing line. I don't remember if it's nylon or not. I can't remember. But it works really well. Now, as far as offsetting the jib, you got one little pin here. It'll just swing right down. Let's see if we can get that pin back in place. Don't really want to go. There we go, we got her now. And there you have it. Like I said, it's not a whole lot there. It does display well, and it is nice to have a current, maybe not current, I don't think Grove makes this anymore. Maybe they do, I really don't know. But either way, it's nice to have a fairly current 40-ton, you know, American crane sitting on the shelf. It's nice. It looks pretty good in there with all the all-terrains and whatnot. Anyway, that's about it. Like I said, it's not a bad model. I think it's definitely worth picking up and getting one in the collection. Anyway, if you have any questions or comments, you know, feel free to ask. If you'd like to see more of what we have, please subscribe to Maryland Construction Diecast. And as always, thanks for watching.